Why hello everybody. Oh look who came just in the nick of time. As always. Hello. So, bear with me. Can I help you? Bear with me. Okay. So look at his head. Okie dokies. So, as you would have seen by the name of this video, I thought I would just do a quick DVC journey with you guys, just because I've had a lot of questions recently regarding the DVC, and although I am absolutely not an expert and far from it, I just thought maybe I'd give a little insight as to what mine and Jacob's journey was when getting the DVC, just because maybe it might help you guys a little bit along the way if you're thinking about it, because you know it's a big investment to make, and you know it's quite daunting to begin with, because you're thinking, oh my goodness, what have I put myself in for? But essentially, you know, if you're a big Disney fan like myself, then it does benefit you. But yeah, so again, I'm not gonna do facts and, you know, whatever, but maybe a few facts, I don't know, but I will give you a little insight into my journey with becoming a DVC member, and maybe it will help you guys. But yeah, I mean, recently I spoke to a couple of people on Instagram about it, and also to my friends Jess and Joe. Howdy. And they were already considering it anyway. I just, you know, had that little budge. They didn't need much convincing, if I'm completely honest. I think they already had their mindset. But lo and behold, the next day, they became members. Yay! I'm quite happy I've got friends that are now DVC members. But yeah, so I just thought maybe giving you guys a little insight will help you guys as well. So yeah, where shall I begin? So back in 2015, 2016, when I was working out in Disney World, I had considered it then, but you know what, I didn't really know much about it, and wanted to know more before I'd done anything drastic. So when Jacob came out and saw me in the January, we did talk about it then, but didn't really do anything about it until June 2016, when we actually went on one of the DVC tours. I think, I'm not really sure what they call it. So on that day, what happens is you pre-book it, so you can go to any of the DVC stalls that you see around all of the parks in Disney Springs, and you book yourself on one of these tours, and it just gives you a real insight as to what the DVC is, and gives you the opportunity to purchase there and then if you want to. So we booked it when we were in Disney Springs, and we went the following day. So what happens is DVC will come and pick you up from your hotel if you want to, or you can make your way there yourself to Saratoga Springs, which is where their HQ is, I'm gonna call it. I don't really know what to call it, but that's where you go to. And when you arrive, they give you food and beverages and everything else, which is lovely, make you feel really welcome. And you go into like a little presentation into this mini cinema room that probably doesn't fit any more than, you know, a couple of groups of families, and you watch this magical presentation that makes you feel all warm and cuddly inside and magical, and it's lovely, and it's a little insight into what the DVC is. Once that's finished, you then get assigned to a sales representative. Again, this was back in 2016, so don't quote me on if this is the way it happens now. As I say, this is just what happened back then. So yeah, sorry. You get assigned to a sales representative, who then takes you to some models of some of the rooms from the resorts. So they're all based in Saratoga Springs, these models, and we were able to view 2 deluxe studios. One of them, I believe, was based on the beach club rooms. I can't honestly remember what the other ones was. I think maybe one of them was a grand flow room. And we then saw a 1-bedroom model room, which, don't get me wrong, they are all absolutely beautiful. They're stunning, they're so spacious. All of them have kitchenettes in them, which is fantastic. So yeah, they're really big and spacious. Anyway, so they take you to that, and then what happens is they take you back into the HQ, and you go into just a room with yourselves and the sales representative, where they basically sit there and they talk about the ins and outs of everything. And don't get me wrong, there is a lot to take in. There's a lot of information that you need to know, in just from prices to just the in-depth information that you need to know about the contract itself. So please be warned that it does take a little while. I believe we were in there for a good 3 hours in total. But obviously, if you've already made your mind up, it may not go on as long as it needs to. But obviously, just to bear that in mind, if you've got things planned for afterwards, it takes a while. Anyway, so one of the first things that they discuss with you is that when you get a contract, you have to have a home resort. Now, a home resort is basically where you can book that home resort 11 months in advance, whereas you then can book any of the other resorts 7 months in advance. So it's a big difference. So the one thing I would say is, if it's available, pick a resort that you love and you know you're going to go to regularly, because it will benefit you in the long run that you can book that one 11 months in advance. However, the two that they gave us were the Polynesian and Aulani. Now, because we wanted a home resort that was based in Walt Disney World, we decided to go for the Polynesian, which is absolutely stunning, by the way. Beautiful if you've ever seen it. Then they talk about the point system. And the point system is basically what happens is, in your contract you purchase a certain amount of points for a year's use, and depending on what resort you stay at depends on how much the points are worth. Now, I honestly don't remember how much the points cost when we purchased, but what I will explain to you is how much it cost us in total. Not that you would have realised that my battery just died, so I've had to charge it and I've come back again. So where was I at? So I believe it was to do with the pricing. So in total, with the amount of points that we purchased, so we purchased 150 points. That cost us $26,000. Now that's just there or thereabouts. I think it's slightly more, as in like it might be 26,200 or whatever. But yeah, that's roughly the cost of what it was. Now, the cost that we paid, that's including interest, because at the time we didn't have $20,000 just to give away, because we were purchasing a house. So, well, we were hoping to purchase a house anyway. So we decided to go through the Disney Finance, which I know anyone who is a DVC member right now is going to be screaming at me going, why did you do that? But at the time it was an impulse thing, and to be honest, I'm not going to go into depth, but it did benefit us definitely from a buying a house point of view in the UK, but I'm not going to bore you with all of that. But anyway, it would have cost less than if we had purchased it outright, or if we had purchased it with a loan that we got in the UK. So yeah, I won't go too much into that, but in total what we paid including interest is 26,000 something. But yeah, so the 26,000 that you pay if you've done it through finance is you pay that over 10 years, and then you get 53 years worth of vacation. So each year you will still get your 150 points for 50 years without paying any of the contract fee. The one thing that you do have to continuously pay for is your annual dues, which covers maintenance, cleaning, all of that sort of upkeep of DVC and everything else. And that does vary year on year. Now, it can go up to 15% each year. But to give you a rough estimate, this year it was 800 and something, and I paid roughly around about £650. So you do get told how much it will cost each January, and I do believe now UK residents can pay that monthly. Back in 2016, when I asked if we could pay monthly for it, it wasn't allowed, but I have heard that apparently now you can pay it monthly, which is brilliant. So you don't have to find nearly £1,000's worth just after Christmas, which can be a bit of a nightmare, but it's fine. So each January that comes around, and you do have to continuously pay that for the 50 years, but you don't have to pay anything else because your contract is paid off and it's yours. That's after 10 years, or if you've paid it off fully. Then the next thing that they do discuss with you is regarding the banking and borrowing of points. So again, I don't want to bore you all with it, but it's just something to understand. So each year you get your pot of 150 points, or however many that you purchase. So for us, 150 points. Then you can bank your points to use for the next year. So in total you'll have 300 points. So for instance, say this year, if we banked last year's points, we would now have 300 points because we got last year's 150 points, including this year's points. So we would have 300 points. You can also borrow from next year's points. So if you wanted to borrow all of your next year's points, so for instance ours would be another 150, we could essentially have 450 points to use on vacations. But obviously then you will then lose out using them the next year. But it's just something to look into, because, which I'll explain a tiny bit later, is that we actually done this when we done our first vacation, not using all of our 150 points, but we did borrow. And then yeah, that's really about it in terms of purchasing. So the day went smoothly. We decided to purchase. It took a little while, as I explained, and you then sit down with one of the, I think they're like a part of the legal team, where they sit down and they go through all the paperwork with you to you know, because everything has to be done properly, because it's a big commitment, it's a big investment, and obviously it's a lot to understand. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of our journey, just purchasing on the day. The next thing I just wanted to talk to you about is just our first experience of booking a DVC vacation. So our very first vacation that we booked was in 2017, so the year after. So we had 300 points to use. Now the reason why we had 300 points is because when we purchased, I believe they do this with all members that decide to join. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, if you know, they really do try and make you feel special, of course, but when you join, they give you, as a goodwill gesture, free amount of a year's points to use. I don't think that even made sense what I just said. So for instance, when we purchased, we got 150 points for that year, but they were like, here you go, have last year's points just to use, which is lovely, and it's a good incentive as well to have. So it's lovely to know that you will have that extra points to use. So please bear that in mind, that they probably, I'm sorry if they don't give it to you, but I'm almost sure that they do that with everyone. Sorry. Sorry to burst your bubble if you thought, you know, we are special, what are you talking about? Anyway, so we had 300 points to use, and we stayed for, I think it was 19 nights, and we stayed pretty much 2 weeks in Beach Club and a few days in Bay Lake Tower. I think we borrowed maybe like 20 to 30 points, something like that. Wasn't a lot, but we borrowed that from the next year's use just so we could have a big bulk. So we managed to do 19 nights. And the one thing I will say is you can be extremely clever with your points to make the most out of your vacation, because obviously some resorts use less points to use and some resorts cost more points. So be clever with them because you can really make the most out of it. So yeah, that's what we done with our first vacation, and I can't remember how much in total it cost. We went, oh, what hurricane was it that hit us? It was a horrible one where Disney got shut in 2017, whenever that was. Either way, it was terrible. That's when we went, and I mean, luckily we were in the beach club when it happened, and I'm so happy that we were there because it's obviously such a lovely resort. Where else would I want to stay other than Disney when a hurricane's hitting? But yeah, so I can't remember how many points it cost us in total to stay for the 19 nights, but again, roughly around about 300 and something. So yeah, other than that, I think that's it, just from our journey. Again, I didn't want to go too in depth into it. I just sort of wanted to give a little insight. If you do want me to go more in depth in another video, then please leave a comment down below and I'll happy to answer any of your questions, because it is a lot to take in, and sometimes getting a little bit of information before you go, you know, diving into this is handy. So please let me know if you want to know some more information about it, and I will do an in-depth video about it. But as I say, just a small little video just for you to understand. But yeah, other than that, I think that's it. Sorry if this bored you, I do apologise, but I could talk about Disney all day if I'm honest. Yeah. Anyway, like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see any more Disney bits and bobs, because Disney is all I talk about apparently. Comment down below if you've got any questions about the DVC and I'll be happy to answer them. But other than that, I will catch up with you all soon. See you all later. Bye, guys.